Chris Murphy exposed Pete Hegseth for pushing $1 billion, taxpayer-funded plane Trump plans to keep. This isn't defense, it's a giveaway.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being here today. I wanted to build on some of the questions that Senator Schatz was asking, just to try to build a fact predicate for some of the tough spending decisions we're going to have to make here. Just to confirm, I heard you say, with respect to the gift of the plane from Qatar, that we do not yet have a signed MOU with the government of Qatar. Is that right?
Correct. We're in the process of working through that.
And did you also say we don't have a signed contract with the company that is going to do the work? Or did you say that we have a contract, you're just not willing to disclose the terms?
The terms should not be disclosed of anything related to an aircraft of this type.
So in 2018, when the contract was signed with Boeing to do the upgrades or the new contracts for Air Force One, the terms of that contract were disclosed. They were made public. In fact, it was the Trump administration that issued a press release giving the total as $3.9 billion. Are you saying this time around, even after you sign the contract, you're not going to make public any of the terms of the contract?
I wasn't involved in that previous administration decision, but we're happy to take a look.
The Air Force testified before the House that that contract would likely deliver the new Air Force Ones by the 2028 timeframe. It doesn't stand to reason that you will be able to retrofit the plane from Qatar much sooner than 2028. So I'm trying to understand what the gap is that we're trying to fill. If this contract ends up being $500 million and the gap only ends up being 6 months, that doesn't sound like a wise investment for this committee to make.
Senator, I would defer to the expertise of the Air Force as far as timing of modifications and when that would happen, but there's also been delay after delay after delay on the Boeing side, so I don't know that's a firm fixed date yet, unfortunately, can be counted on.
So obviously the underlying question here is what is going to happen to the plane at the end of Trump's presidency. The president said on May 12th that this plane would be transferred to his presidential library at the end of his term. Is that your understanding of what is going to happen to this plane?
The president said that. That's my understanding, although I would look at what comes out in the MOU.
But why would we ask the American taxpayer to spend upwards of $1 billion on a plane that would then only be used for a handful of months and then transferred directly to the president? That doesn't sound like a wise use of taxpayer dollars.
A lot of the capabilities, as you know, Senator, of that particular platform are and should remain classified. So there are reasons why you might modify, even for a short period of time, an aircraft to ensure the safety and security of the President of the United States.
But when do you believe that those upgrades would be made? How long would the president have it before it got transferred to his personal possession?
That would be a determination of the Air Force that would take hold of it and make those modifications within whatever time window they believe gets it to the place where it need to be.
Yeah, I think this is extraordinary, Mr. Chairman. We're talking about a pretty massive investment of appropriations dollars into a plane that the Secretary is saying is currently planned to be transferred personally to the President. There's a lot of other pending needs that we need to fund. This would seem to be low on the list. Mr. Secretary, one final question. Obviously, you know that there is a concern in the public about a double standard that is applied to protest, sometimes protest that turns violent. The president, when he came into office, issued pardons to the individuals that attacked the United States Capitol, including those individuals who beat savagely police officers. You have deployed the National Guard and readied Marines in a way that many people think is unnecessary given the state and the local resources. So maybe let me ask the question this way so that you can assuage people's concerns that there is a double standard. The National Guard was deployed here on January 6th, and that was a decision made by the Department of Defense. Do you support that decision? Do you believe that that was the right decision to deploy the National Guard to defend the Capitol on January 6th?
All I know is it's the right decision to be deploying the National Guard in Los Angeles to defend ICE agents who deserve to be defended in the execution of their jobs.
But I think it's important to know whether you think it was also important to have the National Guard defending the United States Capitol when there were violent protesters here on the president's behalf, to make sure that folks know that you care about protest, whether it's against the president or on behalf of the president.
Senator, I was in the Washington, D.C. National Guard when that happened and was initially ordered to go guard the inauguration of Joe Biden. But because of the politicization of the Biden administration, my orders were revoked. And ultimately, because of the politics that were being played inside the Defense Department by the previous administration.
But do you support the decision made on January 6th to send the National Guard here to defend
I support
the
the decision that President Trump made and requesting the National Guard that was denied.
So you do not.
President Trump
you do not support the decision.
Support
you do not
for the National Guard
decision
in
to send the
advance
National Guard here to defend the Capitol. I think that speaks to the worry that many Americans have that there is a double standard, that you are not willing to defend against attacks made on our democracy by supporters of the president, but you are willing to deploy the National Guard to protect against protesters who are criticizing the president. That's not how our taxpayer dollars are supposed to work. They're supposed to be used to defend the United States, no matter the nature of the political affiliation of the protesters. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Chris Murphy isn't just questioning Pete Hegseth. He's building a case, piece by piece, carefully, methodically. Murphy lays out a picture of a defense secretary who is either unwilling or unable to uphold the responsibilities of his office. And what makes this clip so striking isn't just the policy failures Murphy highlights, it's the pattern those failures reveal: loyalty to one man over loyalty to the country. Murphy starts with facts, because he knows this Qatar plane scandal isn't just about a plane. It's about accountability eroding. It's about secrecy becoming normalized. It's about a national security apparatus reshaped to serve Trump's personal wishes, not America's strategic needs. He presses Hegseth on the basics. Do we even have a signed agreement with Qatar? No. Are the terms transparent? No. Are we repeating the same disclosure process used in 2018 for Air Force One? Apparently not. Transparency only matters when it benefits Trump, not when it holds him accountable. Then Murphy examines the timeline. The official Air Force One replacements, already paid for by taxpayers, won't be ready until 2028. So what exactly is the government buying with this Qatar plane? How much time does it actually save? And is shaving 6 or 8 months off the schedule worth $1 billion price tag, especially when Trump plans to personally keep the plane? Murphy exposes a shocking truth: taxpayers may be financing a foreign government's luxury gift to a former president, retrofitted with classified technology, handed over permanently. But Murphy doesn't stop at financial recklessness. He connects it to democratic recklessness. He transitions to January 6th and the pardons issued to individuals who brutally attacked police officers defending the Capitol. He reminds everyone the National Guard was deployed to protect the seat of American democracy from violent insurrectionists. And he asks Hegseth the simple moral question: was defending the Capitol the right decision? It shouldn't take more than a breath to answer. Any public official committed to the Constitution should say yes without hesitation. Violence happened. Officers were beaten. One lost an eye. Another suffered a spinal stroke. Several later died. Yet Hegseth cannot fully affirm the decision to defend the Capitol. Instead, he pivots, to Los Angeles, to ICE, to Biden, anything but the truth in front of him. Murphy keeps bringing him back. This is about whether Hegseth is willing to defend the U.S. government from internal attack. This is about whether he sees democracy as worthy of protection. And Hegseth never answers. He dances around it, offering excuses, not principles. He refuses to name January 6th for what it was: an assault on the peaceful transfer of power, the most sacred ritual in American democracy. What Murphy exposes is bigger than a policy disagreement. It's a crisis of legitimacy. A defense secretary who cannot affirm the necessity of defending the Capitol from a violent mob is a secretary who prioritizes political loyalty over constitutional duty. A secretary who justifies pardons for attackers but preemptively deploys the National Guard against critics of Trump is serving the president, not the public. Murphy's closing point ties it all together. This isn't hypothetical. It's a real double standard. Violence committed on behalf of Trump is excused and rewarded. Dissent against him is treated like an existential threat. This is not how taxpayer dollars should be spent. This is not how national security should function. This is not how democracies survive. And that's why Murphy's line lands like a verdict: you are not willing to defend our democracy. He's not accusing Hegseth of incompetence. He's accusing him of choosing the wrong side of a fundamental test. Will you defend America, or will you defend the man who wants to own it? If this breakdown helped you understand the stakes, the danger of politicizing national security, the risks of foreign gifts influencing U.S. policy, and the threat posed by officials unwilling to defend our institutions, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Tell me, is Pete Hegseth acting as Secretary of Defense for the United States, or Secretary of Defense for Donald Trump? More analysis coming soon.